Sandy, we ask everyone on the show a few questions at the end. I'm going to hit you with those. If you could make a phone call to the 20-year-old Sandy Carter and give that young lady a bit of advice, what would you tell her?
Wow, that's a good question. I would say, well, first I would say, don't go straight away to business school because that's what I did. Don't buy that red sports car right away. Wait for a little while. I think the other thing that I would say is, to be more confident right away, not cocky. I don't mean cocky, but I mean more confident in your ideas. When you're younger, sometimes you think that you have a great idea and then someone says, no, that's not right. You kind of back down because you think, wow, they've got like 5 years of experience and you don't. But I think sometimes when you're coming at something with a brand new, fresh approach, that if you really push, the majority is not always right. And you need to have more confidence with your ideas. That would be one of the things that I would say is really go out on that limb and push and take more risk.
Do you see this with the entrepreneurs or with your daughters, or is this you seeing yourself in the past?
Yeah, the other thing that it is we. I was reading a couple books about successful leaders, right? And one of the things almost all of them said, which I thought was interesting, was that they wish they had taken more risk earlier on, that they had to learn to take risks, they had to become more confident in themselves. And as I look back and really think about it, I think there might have been some risks that I would have taken that may have accelerated some of the things I wanted to do more quickly. And that doesn't mean take an uncalculated risk or, when you are wrong, admitting that you're wrong, you need to do that. But sometimes there's really not a right or a wrong. There's multiple ways to approach something. And sometimes just that extra push can get you over the line.
We hear this a lot, don't we?
Do you really?
Yeah, we hear a lot of people saying, make those mistakes and take those chances when you're young. A lot of times before you have the overhead of the family, and and in retrospect, you really could have done anything at that point. Unfortunately, when you're there, sometimes it feels like your next decision is the biggest decision of your life.
But I do believe, even though I would have waited on going to business school, I would actually repeat that. I really think that was very helpful to me. And going to a business school that taught case study, I really like that a lot too. Not repeating the, lectures, but really doing cases and having real companies come in. If I had to give myself advice, it would be repeat that, go back to business school, take that shot, because I do think that has really enhanced my career. It gave me a great, strong group of people to network with. We actually have a Harvard reunion coming up. There's some incredible folks who've done incredible things, and I still know them. We learn from each other. And I just think it was an invaluable experience that I would not want to trade.
Yeah, that's a special place. I mean, they're known for that case study mentality. I've heard the network is just one of the most valuable thing about Harvard. Maybe it isn't the most, but
one of the most for sure. Yeah, and I do think that would maybe the other piece of advice I would give people is to spend more time on networking and relationships. Sometimes when you're young, you're like, well, I've just got to get this piece of work done, or I got to do that. But what you learn when you get older is that those relationships were the most valuable thing, right? Not necessarily I killed that project, or I did that great presentation, or I won that client, but it was the relationships that you develop with the client. It was the relationship you develop with your peers that turns out to be the most important thing.
I was telling a young guy that working at one of the YouTube multi-channel networks here in London, and I told him the same thing, that I said, all those people around you, you're going to be doing business with a large percent of them for the next 20 years. And he just had this glazed look in his eye. He was like, yeah, okay, whatever. I got to go to this other startup. And I was like, no, really, you're going to bump back into them, and they're going to have new companies, and then you might work for them, you might hire them. Like, all this is going to change. And they're like...
I don't know, the world seems big, but it can get really, really small.
It's true, right? It really is.
Especially within a certain industry or a certain city. It's amazing how many people you bump into, even just around here. Or I'm in coffee and I still bump into people I've seen before in the tech space, or just never burn a bridge and always think about fostering relationships.
Yeah,